It is 9:30 on a Thursday night, and you're tuned into Rip Radio Network, which can mean one and only thing. What's that mean, Tez?
Yo, you're tuned into Chip Chat.
That's right.
On Rip Radio Network.
I'm Chip, and that's Tez.
Yo, what's poppin'? It's been a minute.
Yeah, you were on assignment.
On assignment, yeah.
How'd the assignment go?
Life is life. I'll say that.
That's true.
That's what I'll say with that. The assignment of life it's still going.
It is still going. All right, speaking of still going, this is our season finale. Yeah, that doesn't mean anything to us. All the other shows on the network are like get really excited about season finales and premieres, and I just see that as like, well, that's 2 weeks I don't get to do radio.
Yeah,
but like 3 weeks or whatever it is.
Oh wow, I don't pop the bubble right there.
Yeah,
those 2 weeks.
I'm just like I got to get back. You know, I got stuff to say.
Yeah,
I read the paper and I got nowhere to yell about it. That's a problem. And we will be back on January 6th, by the way.
I told you it's going to have our show. That's going to be
our season premiere.
Season premiere.
For the 2022. So
we shall burn it down.
Yeah. I hope they build a wall between now and then. I had tried to get one of our friends who knows about law enforcement to be on the show for that day, and he told me explicitly that he was going to not be in the country that day on purpose.
Hey,
so I figured that was smart of him. We are going to be in the country covering this live wall to wall here on Rip Radio Network or until the white supremacists storm this building. Do you think they would even come up here to Greenbelt? Nah, we're safe, right?
We're safe.
Yeah. Too dark a county.
I don't know.
They got to get through Langley Park first. They would never make it.
Was this an old Levittown anywhere out here at any point?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
I don't think so, no, right? No.
Maybe around the corner.
Maybe around the corner of there. Chevrolet probably.
Yeah.
Right,
well, Hyattsville.
Hyattsville,
kind of like that.
Kind of, yeah. So, I don't know.
That's a little bit of that. We'll be all right.
We'll be okay.
Also, we're coming to you right before the Rippies.
Yes.
Which is, so if you're watching tonight or you're listening tonight and you're like, man, I don't want to have to go all the way till January 6th without Chip and Tez.
You can come to a hotel that's right down the street from where January 6th happened.
That's true. You can come to the Hilton on Capitol Hill and hang out with us at the Rippies. That's December 18th. That's our award show. We are hosting it, which is unfortunate for everybody else.
Yeah. Get ready for some bad jokes.
Yeah, we wrote a bunch of them. And we've got skits and we've got some of the other shows are going to help us out. We're going to make fun of our CEO. It's going to be a lot of fun. He doesn't know about that. He's not listening. And so anyway, it's going to be a good time. You can get tickets still. You can't vote anymore, but you can get tickets still if you go on the website, click the tab that says Rippies, go to ripradionetwork.com and get the tickets. You can go to rippiesdc.com straight ahead and get the tickets. And you can use the discount code CHIP to get $5 off, which is enough to buy you half a beer at the bar. So that's how that's going to work. Also, if you are valet parking, 2-drink minimum, free valet parking. Because I don't know how giving away valet parking with drinking works, but that's a thing. That's an ABRA problem, not my problem.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going down a different road.
No, we drink responsibly.
Yeah.
Okay. Also this week, want to point out that Michigan won the Big Ten championship. That's a big deal. We beat Ohio and we beat Iowa 42-3. There it is. I mean, that's a whooping. And we're on to face UGA in the college football playoffs. So that was a big deal. And then the next day, the WTFs won a game, our fourth game in a row.
Sports have been good to you.
And then this has literally never happened to me. I went 3 for 3. Then that Monday, facing a near relegation situation.
Oh, God. Oh,
the
Lord.
Good Blue Toffees of Goodison Park defeated the Gunners 2-1, which catapulted us away from that death bubble. And, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we appreciate it. It's a real Arsenal fan. You can tell because he's no hope.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
No, because the hope was there, and then we've shit the bed. Like,
we haven't been relegated since the 50s, and you're the only other team that has been that long of a streak without relegation. And that you helped. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Appreciate that. It's very nice. Okay, the best part, though, we're definitely bearing the lead, is tonight.
Yes, we are bearing the lead.
We have one of our best guests of all time. He hasn't even done the show yet, but he's like,
I know, we're just already
so amazing.
We'd already ordained that.
Yeah, Ray Suarez. If you're a public broadcasting nerd like we are, you know Ray Suarez. He's been on the radio, on the TV, on everything, and we get to talk to him tonight.
Yes, we do.
Somehow, by some miracle. I don't even know how I pulled this off, but he's got 1,800 new podcasts out. This guy has more jobs than I can count. It's unbelievable, and he excels at all of them. And this newest one that we've been listening to,
Going for Broke.
We've been mainlining it and crying at work. It's that good. So don't watch it or listen to it at work. You end up looking like why are you crying at your desk? Did you cry at your desk? You wait till you got to.
I wait till I get in secluded areas.
Yeah.
When I cry, I every now and then.
Yeah, the ugly cry.
But see, if I'm out in public, if it hits me like that, it's kind of like, oh my god, what's happening?
Yeah. Oh,
little misty on here.
What happened? It's just a lot of stuff. All right.
I was at home for January 6th, so that's on it.
Okay. Well, I was not. I was getting feeds from the Hill. Yeah. We got reporters up there. Ray Suarez used to cover the Capitol, or the White House anyway. I don't know. They're pretty close together. You can apparently walk from one to the other carrying pitchforks. All right. We're going to have all kinds of stuff. We're going to have all kinds of stuff tonight. We're going to have a special list time. We are going to talk about the coup. We've got some weird drinks on the list that we're going to talk about. It's going to be a riot, much like January 6th. I actually wrote that joke.
You did write that?
Yeah, I wrote that. It's in the script.
All right, cool. All right,
I wrote that. I was proud of myself. So for our season finale, do you have your word? I have a word. He's thinking. He's thinking hard.
I am thinking hard.
This is how Arsenal fans think.
Exactly.
Slowly,
and thinking on the radio is terrible.
Slowly and ultimately.
I got a word.
Okay. All right. I think I'm ready. Yes, I am ready. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So sit back, grab some
bandages.
It's award-winning radio time. You're listening to the best show, the only show, Chip Chat on RIP Radio Network. Flip. Welcome back to Chip Chat here on RIP Radio Network. I am your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's poppin', y'all? I'm back.
If you are checking out the football game, you're watching the only two teams that have not beat the Detroit Lions this year. That's true. The Steelers tied them in a game that both teams tried very hard to lose, and then the Vikings lost to the Lions, which is a sentence I haven't uttered in more than a year. Lost to the Lions, 364 days since their last win.
And it's 22-0 Vikings, and we are still waiting for Mike Tomlin to blink.
That's right.
I've never seen him blink.
I've never seen him have an emotion. When they won the Super Bowl, I saw him smile briefly. Yeah, he's a stone-faced individual.
I'm all in on just the cliches from coaches, and Wes Unseld Jr. has the great ones. He dropped one the other day. He was like, "We had the disease of me." That's such coach speak. That's such coach speak.
Selfishness is what he means.
Selfishness. Yeah. Instead of saying that, the disease of me.
They couldn't pass is what he meant.
And I was like,
I was watching that game. It was obvious they couldn't pass.
The disease of me. So I'm Tomlin is up there. With,
I love the like Mike Tomlin mystique. You know, it's like he's either looks like he does nothing or he's tripping other players. Like those are the two kinds of Mike Tomlins that there are. All right. Speaking of tripping stuff up, you may remember Charlottesville. You know where Charlottesville is?
Yeah.
It's in Virginia. University of Virginia's there. Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson made that place famous. You know, with his ideals of
all created equal.
Yeah.
So Charlottesville's a beautiful place.
It is a beautiful place.
I love it down there. I have any excuse to go. I'm going to go. You may also remember that there was a court case recently involving Charlottesville where all the Nazis who stormed it in 2017 and killed people, they lost the court case and they had to pay $25 million. None of them has the money. So nobody's getting any money. But the point is that they can't earn any money like in perpetuity. Good. But why were they in Charlottesville? Do you remember why they were in Charlottesville in 2017?
This was Unite the Right, isn't it?
It was Unite the Right.
And which is just in and of itself a phrase. Unite the Right is just
hilarious, but also very ominous.
Yeah.
If there's any group that should never be united, but when you saw them on trial together, they were not united. They were all throwing each other. It was him. He did it. It was disturbing, but also kind of funny
of the government you might get.
That's true. But they were there uniting the right and chanting about my people because they were trying to protect a statue of one Robert E. Lee. It's a big statue made of bronze. And it eventually was taken down by the city of Charlottesville after Governor Dr. Ralph granted them the authority to do so. And they were like, well, what are we going to do with this giant chunk of bronze now that we have it and we took it down? And there were a lot of people who had ideas about what to do with it. And so they were taking submissions, and they got 6 or 7 good ones from like museums and such like that. And I had figured, they'll just put it in some history museum, and people can go and see it and read a plaque. This is Robert E. Lee, the great trader, or whatever. Like, I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, tell the real story.
That's what I thought.
You would hope, yeah.
Turns out they're going to do something even better. What are they going to do with this chunk of bronze?
If I remember the story, how I heard it, they're going to melt it down. Right?
That's correct. Yeah. They are going to melt
wait,
the statue down. Yeah, it was on wait. They're going to melt the statue down, and the museum that's going to do it, or like group that's going to do it, is they have this thing, the Swords into Plowshares Fund, which is a biblical idea of beating your swords into plowshares. They have raised $590,000 in order to do this. And what they're going to do is they're going to melt it down and use the metal to make art projects that are relevant to the descendants of enslaved people and various other things. That sounds really good. We, however, have uncovered the list of what they are likely to actually do with this big chunk of metal, what they're going to melt it down into and fashion it into. So you want to go with this list? This first one, I was very impressed when the reporters, our crack reporting team, dug this one up.
Yeah.
Because they've already got plans in a mold for this one. So you want to tell everybody what it is?
So what they're going to do with the metal after they've melted it down is they're going to make a new chain and clock for Flavor Flav.
That's right.
That's
absolutely the first one. Of course they are. You know what the clock on Flav is all about, right? It's a time for a change or whatever. It's very fitting. These very progressive, these artists.
I know, right there.
I don't know if there's any late breaking information on this or not. So we'll just continue with what we have until and if that happens. All right. The next thing that the crack reporting team uncovered is they're going to use some of it to construct a new statue of Frederick Douglass, but this time with his fist in the air wearing a dashiki.
The only one I want to change this is I need Frederick Douglass with the pick with the fist in his hair. That's what I just feel like.
I thought that was a given.
Yeah.
What other image of Frederick Douglass do you have in your mind? You have him wearing a hat? I mean, what are you talking about here? He invented the fro.
Yeah, I was going to say, his is a super fro, right, man?
Yeah. All right. What else are they going to do here? They've got a lot of metal. I mean, this is a huge statue.
Yeah, it's a lot. So a bust of Ellen DeGeneres to appease some of the white people.
Right. They want to feel like they were included too. Yeah. But the progressive white people who like, Ellen.
Yeah.
She's good. She's the good kind of white people, except when she's terrorizing her staff. But, you know, she's gay, and that's good, right? And we like that. So that's good. And she's funny.
It's funny.
I think she's very funny. I love her old specials. If you can go back and find her old stand-up, it's like hilarious. Very funny.
Ellen show. I laughed.
Yeah, I like it.
I don't have no problem saying it.
All right, the last thing we have on our list, barring any new information that may or may not come to light, and this, I think, makes the most sense of anything. They're going to melt it down. They're going to need, they've already allocated a lot of the metal, right? They're going to make a chain and a clock. That's probably going to take up the most.
I need Frederick Douglass as big as Robert E. Lee was.
Yeah, but they got to make him like really sturdy. So they're going to have to make him hollow with an armature and all that. You know, it's like, you can't let him fall down. The bust of Ellen, not much hair, very small, easy to do. But so that they'll have a small, like a, couple pounds of metal left, not much.
Oh, yeah,
but that's all they need because they're going to use it to make tiny handcuffs that will ultimately be used to arrest a double impeachment coup.
That's a guy laughed.
Yeah.
I laughed.
That's the guy. See, if you're looking at the graphic, those are the tiny handcuffs that they're going to use because that's, you can't use full-size cuffs on Trump. They'll just slip right out of them. Those little tiny baby hands.
Look.
I mean, don't look at me. I'm not I didn't make it up.
His hands are small.
It's got little hands. All right. Well, there's the list time.
There we go.
It's a good list. You don't have anything else, right? Okay. The crack reporting team hasn't uncovered anything else.
No, all right.
That's good. That's good.
Look at us. On being prepared and on time for once.
Make sure Ray Suarez feels good about this. If you ever want him to come back, I tried to get Gene Weingarten to come on the show after he got fired by the Post today, and he answered me back one word: no. Great. This guy's won 2 Pulitzer Prizes for writing poop jokes.
But you can't.
He couldn't be more perfect for this show.
Yeah. Look, I'm not arguing that, but when people just get fired,
I asked him to come on the show to talk about Pulitzers and poop, and he said no.
That could be our new podcast.
Yeah.
Pulitzers and poop.
I asked him about that once on the Kojo Namdi show. How many poop jokes does it take to win a Pulitzer? He said 3, and then he told them on the air, and it was hilarious. I was very proud of myself. All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to go over the rundown where we're going to tell you about the stuff that's going on in the news. And then after that, we're going to talk to Ray Suarez about the real news because he's a real reporter.
Exactly.
And that's how that works.
To take our fake radio show into more of a real radio show realm, if only it's for 10 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, right. All right, you're listening to Tip 10 here on RIP Radio Network.
Your love when I'm far away in another place, holding out tomorrow, just as your pillow, waiting for your love. You in all the ways in another place. All I'm thinking of, just can't get enough. You, and I be everywhere I go. What's to say? Reach rolling today. Though I'm far away, the fantasy I love just can't get enough.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on RIP Radio Network. I am your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
Yo.
All right, so now we've come to the part of the show called The Rundown. We're going to tell you about some stuff that's going on in the news. All right, there you go. He loves that. I don't know why.
Tickles me every time.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. All right, so we really have one story, but it's kind of two stories. So first, we got to explain what a SPAC is, or a SPAC, right?
Mm-hmm.
As Tez has been calling them.
SPAC.
What is the SPAC, Tez?
SPAC is, how I understand it, a way, and just the simplest way, is a way that you can get a company on the stock exchange and just avoid like the IPO, the initial public offering. You can
Correct.
Which there's a reason people do IPOs, because it shows people how you can actually make money. And with SPACs, you kind of just put a shell company up, and that shell company, I guess in a sense, almost merges with the actual company. Thus,
so the SPAC has to do its own kind of IPO or whatever, because it has to list itself. It's listed as a company,
yes,
but it's listed for the purpose of acquiring something else. It's a special acquisition company. That's what it stands for. And so it will be already publicly traded. It will already have investors.
Right.
The initial investors that create the SPAC will presumably sell some of their shares to other investors. And then later down the line, when they find a company that wants to go public, they'll just merge. And it doesn't matter what that company is or what the business is, and there's no vetting or verification or whatever. And the people who initially own the company that the SPAC merges with will get paid handsomely. And the people who maybe started the SPAC will probably also get paid handsomely. But the rest is up in the air. And nobody has any idea. Okay. There is a SPAC called a Digital World Acquisition Corp. It was created, as far as we can tell, to be the vehicle by which the new Trump social media company will come to be publicly traded. Pin in that, we'll get back to it. But as you could guess, since he only gets the best people, DWAC, as it's called.
I was waiting for that. Yeah,
such a great name.
DWAC.
DWAC. It's like my fake French Canadian, LeWac. This is DWAC. Comes from whack. Okay, DWAC. So DWAC is supposed to be the shell company that will merge with Trump Digital Media Company, I think it's called, or I don't know, whatever. It has a stupid acronym. They're going to merge, but it's got some trouble. What's it got trouble with there, Tez?
Isn't it that we don't have any? The Security and Exchange Commission, right, is blocking this in a sense, or not blocking it, but
at least investigating
DWAC. It, DWAC, just to make sure, because again, this is not an IPO, and when you do these SPACs, people should investigate these things.
Well, also because it's raised $1.6 billion and nobody knows from who or why.
That's what I was going to see. Yeah.
And it's a big problem. And there's already some sort of shadiness with DWAC before it even merges with the thing that is obviously a grift, the Trump media thing. So even when they're trying to steal money from people, they're using shitty theft engines to do it with, and they're getting caught already. They haven't even done it yet, and that SEC's on them.
This is the same thing with Bannon, right? When he had his for the wall, right? Wasn't it?
He got busted by the postal inspectors.
Right.
Got raided on a yacht in the Long Island Sound by a bunch of guys in wool shorts. It's none of that I'm making up. That's all very true. It definitely happened.
The grift is real.
It's incredibly real, and it involves also one of our favorite people on this show. Now almost former congressman from California.
It wasn't immediate, didn't he? I thought he just got up and left.
By the end of the year.
Oh, okay. I thought he just got up and I'm out of here.
He left himself a little wiggle room to kind of back out of this deal. But Devin Nunes.
Good old Devin Nunes.
Okay. Why he's important to our show is years ago when he made his clandestine run to the White House in the midst of the Russia investigation. And it turned out that he was actually working for the White House, and there was all kinds of connections back and forth. We happened to have some inside intel on that, and we were able to tip off Sue Davis at NPR and a few others about this through our show. And they, by listening to our show, knew the right questions to ask the right people and caught him red-handed. And he backed off of one of the things that he was doing.
Look
So
at
that was
That's
pretty
before
good.
my time, but look at what you got.
It's been one of the few times that we've broken real news on this show, but that was one of our best ones. That we actually curbed some of the worst instincts of a guy who got in a Twitter fight with a fake cow. That's all true.
Yes.
All right, so Devin Nunes told everybody that he was going to leave Congress after being there for 20 years and about to be in charge of Ways and Means, which is like the cherriest spot in the House. He is like, I'm going to leave to go be the CEO of Donald Trump's new fake Twitter. Now, that sounds crazy by itself, but let's just set the scene. Devin Nunes' background is basically politics. He's only ever been a fake dairy farmer and politician. He's never actually done anything else in his life. He isn't an actual dairy farmer. His family maybe owned a dairy farm a couple generations ago. He claims to be a farmer. That's why his cow is so mad at him on Twitter. Devin Nunes also sued Twitter for $250 million over this parody account that purported to be one of his cows and basically was just talking shit about him. And he couldn't handle it, so he sued them. And Twitter was like, look, you're suing the wrong person. You need to sue the cow. And he's like, I can't figure out who this is. And Twitter's like, well, we don't know who it is either. And to this date, nobody knows who this is.
It's in Congress. Doesn't know how Section 230 does work?
Only the best people. Only the best people.
Anyways.
All right, so he's going off to be the CEO of the Trump Media Technology Group. Now, the lawsuit with the cow is literally the only social media experience Devin Nunes has. And the Trump Media Group, so far as that we can tell, it's supposed to have something that's akin to Twitter called, ironically, Truth Social, and then a bunch of other things or whatever. But it doesn't seem to actually be organized, and it doesn't seem to have anybody who works there. When it had to list a few employees, for a couple of filings, which it was late doing, it was our chief counsel is Jonathan L. And our technology officer is Stephen F. And they don't have names. They don't even have last names.
It's the businesses I create in my head at night.
Yeah. It's just some fever dream of a social media company where Trump can't get banned for trying to start a fucking insurrection. It's unbelievable. And they say they're going to have 81 million users and $1 billion in investment in a couple of years. And I don't know what they think they're planning. They don't seem to have a plan, but they've announced a plan. It's the steaks and the vodka and the university. It's all of these things all over again. And Nunes is like, all right, cool. I'm going to get in as the CEO. DeWack is going to merge with us. I'm going to get paid a boatload of money. This thing is going to crumble. I'm going to take the money and run, and I'm going to figure out who that cow is. That's the goal here. 100%. I've predicted a number of things on this show, and that's one of them.
You have.
Yeah. You're the social media expert.
I don't want to say I'm a social media expert. I find it terrible in many situations.
Yeah, but you're the tech guy.
I'm gonna tell you, I'll say this. If I was to play devil's advocate for this, right?
It's called Devin Nunes' cow.
Devin,
yeah,
right, that's devil's advocate. If they were able to pull this off, it is kind of scary because they've now created a town square for the fringe. And one of the things I think folks have always worried about is that if you push people off of the mainstream social media platforms, they go off into these corners, and then
they already have, right?
They have
8chan and Reddit and whatever else.
But that's if this is executed and it actually.
There's no chance it works. It's the fourth iteration of this.
It's not, and it's not going to turn into anything. This is a grift. All of these things are
such a grift,
and it's. I think it's upsetting because folks really believe in they believe in this stuff, man.
Do you feel bad at all?
Yes, I do feel bad.
I do feel moments bad. Of clarity, and I'm like, man, these poor people are just getting hosed all
because
the time.
Because we can't do anything. They're not going anywhere. They're still going to be
but it's
here.
Maybe better that their money is shunted into these useless spasms of pre-orgasmic bullshit than anything real. And it's good that they're broke and disaffected and maybe like don't have enough food to eat because we don't need these people around. I don't know what to do with that.
I have come around to the point where I don't even think it's like a bunch of broke people who are doing this. I think it's affluent people who are bored with their lives and are looking for.
That's your theory.
That's my theory right now. Yeah, I'm borrowing a little from Tom Nichols, but I'm fully on with that. That it's affluence and boredom that allows folks to do this, like to January 6th and all, and to go ahead and rile up folks around like critical race theory. You have to have
time and money
to do it.
So, I mean, you're probably not wrong about that, but we also know from like some of the reporting in the Post and the Times about these people who got sucked into these recurring donations to the Trump thing with these, insane pleas for money. Give us the money or the Democrats are going to kill you or whatever.
It's crazy.
And it's like, don't uncheck, double click, not check this box if you don't want not for this to become also very much monthly.
Yeah, no, it's like they're locking you in for like 6 months.
They had to return $65 million that they took from people who didn't mean to opt in.
No, and again,
and that's just what we know about.
No, it is. It's a full-on grift, and like again, even when he initially,
should we get in on it?
I just my morals.
No, you can go to theripshop.com and buy our t-shirts and stuff.
That's
a grift,
kind of,
because they're good t-shirts. I have a bunch of them, and they've got ours, but you don't get the white woman. You think
or the dog.
You think you paid for an apron and a white girl. You just get the apron. That's how we get you. I'm going to take that money. It's $26 at a time or whatever it is. We'll be like Devin Nunes.
I will not. I can't even joke around.
I will not.
Put my foot down.
That so authoritatively.
Griff Central, man.
Right.
It's insane.
Speaking of authoritative voices, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to probably the most authoritative voice to ever be on this show by a mile, but like, come on, maybe ever in broadcasting history. This guy could read the phone book and make me concerned. Like, that's how good he is and how much gravitas he has in his voice. Walter Cronkite used to call him for tips. I think they were alive at the same time. No, they definitely were. Whatever. Cronkite's not listening.
He's not.
No.
Oh my God. Okay.
And people in Arizona, where his school is, they're not listening either.
Yeah, we know that
because it's not their bedtime yet.
Yeah, our deep market research.
That's right. Actually, no, we do get a bunch of listens in Arizona. I started checking on that.
Oh, look.
It's not one of the like 4 states there's like 4 states that won't listen to us. We don't know why. They don't have internet. All right.
No, we need broadband for everyone.
That's why we need to build back better. Fox News said it this morning. They wanted all the build back better. They said after their fake tree got burned down, they were going to build it back better. They literally said that. Ainsley Earhardt said it on Fox and Friends in a yellow dress. I'm not making any of that up. We'll find the quote and we're going to play it in the break.
Oh, my
later.
Sorry, Brian.
It's going to be insane. You've never seen something so on the nose in your life. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Ray Suarez. You're listening to Chip Chat on RIP Radio Network. Sweeps.
तेरी महफिल
Welcome back to Chip Chat here on Rip Radio Network. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's poppin'?
All right, that music we played to kind of calm us down, after this last, I don't know what
sage the
that tangent that we went off on. This is a big deal for us. You're a public broadcasting guy.
Yes.
I am too. Yeah. Raised by PBS, basically, right?
Yeah.
My parents are like, I can't deal with you. Here's Reading Rainbow.
And what's even crazier, and just not even going to a tangent on this one, they're doing an Arthur Christmas special right now.
Yeah.
And it's the Christmas special from like 2000.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's still, I was like, wait, this looks familiar.
Also, Arthur's Jewish.
Is he?
Yeah. That's the thing.
Oh my God. Anyways.
Yeah, because he's got a great big nose. We know.
Moving on.
It's very on the nose.
Moving on that
but
one.
No, he is Jewish. They had a Hanukkah episode where we found out that he's Jewish.
They did have a Hanukkah episode. They
That's
definitely
right.
did.
It turns out that Arthur's Jewish, basically. All right, we are going to leave that one alone. So, look, we're everywhere. What can you? That's why we're good at this.
Look,
we're funny.
I would agree.
We're good at whatever this is. I don't know what this is. All right, so
entertainment at the highest level.
That's right. So if you're a public broadcasting person, whether that's TV or radio, you know who Ray Suarez is. I've been listening to him.
You know the voice. I feel like if you
absolutely.
If you hear the voice, yes.
Well, and as a Arlington kid, Channel 26 WETA is the home of the PBS NewsHour, for which he was a correspondent for I don't want to age him, but 1,000 years, basically since they invented television. And then he was on Al Jazeera, America forever. And there's a whole story there. We're going to let him tell that. But anyway, Ray Suarez is doing what he has always done best, which is holding down 35 jobs at a time. And he's excelling at almost all of them. Well, until he did this show.
Yeah, that's all. That almost came up as you were writing this.
But for a brief period of time, he had a bit of a struggle. The system that seemed designed to defeat him.
Mm.
And I really want to ask him this question that's been burning me for almost 2.5 years now. But he's overcome that, and he perhaps he would like to do some radio where he can swear, which is why he's come here to Chip Chat. Ray Suarez, welcome to Chip Chat.
Great to be with you guys.
You hear that voice?
I'm puzzled though, because Arthur, he doesn't chew his cud and he doesn't have a cloven hoof. Would they really make a trafe animal Jewish, Mike?
I puzzled over this because he's an aardvark, I think, right?
Yes, he's an aardvark.
So, I don't know. As long as I don't put cheese on him, I think I can eat him. I think that's the rule.
Oh God!
Right? He's not.
You would know better than I do, but yes.
My cousin Yuval. This is off on a tremendous tangent.
Let's
go. My cousin Yuval Sherlow is actually a fairly big deal rabbi in Israel, and he was the one who wrote the opinion that figured out that lab-grown pork would be legal, would be kosher, because it doesn't possess any of the qualities of the animal that are strictly prohibited.
Okay.
And so I was very excited about this because, then it meant we could have kosher bacon. And then
cloven hoof, but no cud.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have any
but
of that.
If you grow it in a lab, I guess it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It has none of those things. Look,
GMO working out.
He's the guy who runs a yeshiva, not me. I eat lots of bacon. With cheese on it. Look. Yeah. I had some today.
Bacon cheeseburger.
Fantastic. Man. Yeah, bacon cheeseburger, whatever. All right, so Ray, you're a big deal reporter, someone that I've been listening to constantly in one fashion or another, basically since the 90s. And when you found yourself out of work, this is the thing. I'm leading with this because this is the thing I really want to know. You're so successful. Somehow your success worked against you when you didn't have a job.
Yeah, it was weird. That part was weird. Places, I think they kept thinking he couldn't really want to work here. So they wouldn't take me seriously as I applied for work in various places. And other places where I had worked before basically closed their doors to me and people who said, "Oh, give me a call, give me a call." I'd give them a call and they wouldn't answer. It was a tough time. It was a tough time.
I recall inviting you to come work for our show, and you wisely did not take that choice because we could not pay you.
Well, and my wife insists that I not work any place that will not pay me.
Yeah, that seems
Hey,
fair. My
fair.
wife insists the same thing.
Right, I was going to say, right, it's all the way around.
Yet here I am working on this show.
That is a good point, actually.
Yeah. Our wives have failed all of us.
Yeah, but you've got an ownership stake. So
That's true.
when your ship comes in at the end and you sell this baby for big money, you'll cash in then.
When we merge with DeWack.
DeWack,
That's
there it is.
right.
With DeWack. Ray, where did you find motivation when you were unemployed? Like, where did you find motivation to kind of keep moving on?
Facebook.
There were times when I was terribly depressed, but I couldn't let on. And there were times when I was afraid, like, this is it. The marketplace is pronouncing its verdict, and you, my friend, are done. The gods of the marketplace have decided. You worked 50, 60 hours a week for 20 years. Good thing you banked all that, because now you get to work 0 hours a week. It was a really discouraging time. And it was like being in a bar where you're all the way at the end of the bar away from the door. And you say, okay, I got to make it to the door, but I got to fight everybody here to make it back out to the door.
Jeez.
And you just say, if that's what I got to do, that's what I got to do. It was a bad time, but you get through it. I was lucky enough to get through it.
It might seem kind of like a little inside baseball to ask this question, but for people who consume media, and by that I mean, people who listen to the radio or read the paper or whatever, they take it for granted that reporters are like there and that they're just going to be there. And like, once you make you're at that point, you're the White House correspondent, you're made in the shade and nothing can happen to you. So what, you lose your job, you just go to the next network or whatever. Like, who wouldn't want somebody like, it's never crossed my mind that somebody at that level could, like, I didn't think that people at that level had to work hard to get jobs. I thought they were fending off offers. Hey, would you write?
I wouldn't say I didn't think they had to work hard to get jobs, but I did think, seriously, when Al Jazeera America went belly up, that I was going to be okay.
Yeah.
I figured I'd take a breather for a couple of months and then jump right back in, because I had been on national television for 14 years. Before that, at a major market in Chicago. Before that, a correspondent in the LA bureau for CNN. I had done national radio for 7 years. I really wasn't worried. I thought, yeah, something will come along, something that's a good fit, something that I want to do. Somebody will want me. I keep hearing all this stuff about diversity. Somebody will want a Puerto Rican guy from New York who actually has experience too. So this is not going to be that hard. And then it turned out to be hard because I hadn't taken ageism into account.
Yeah,
and I didn't think of myself as an old guy, and that was mistake number one.
So listening to your show, you do an episode on yourself,
right?
Which people probably caution against that, but I think in your case in particular, the show is called Going for Broke. It's critical.
Yes, it is,
because it not just explains why this podcast exists, but it also explains why, as you're humanizing other people who are in these situations, why it seems relevant to you and so like real.
Right. Why is this guy the host? Well, that's your answer. This guy is hosting this series because he's just come through the flames himself. And it was not something that came naturally to me to talk about myself. I joke in the podcast that the capital letter I didn't even work on my laptop. I just didn't write about myself. But it made sense. The producer convinced me that it made sense in the arc of the series to include my own story of serious and rapid downward mobility. And
wow.
and
He says
how,
it with a smile, and so like he's, whatever.
well, also at the same time, a couple of years into this, I'm struggling. I'm trying to put it together. I'm getting little bits of business here and there. And then I have cancer. And it was like, oh, yeah, hell, what now? Like it wasn't bad enough that I couldn't find work, and I was crazed, but I mean, really crazed and stressed out about that. Oh, but don't worry. Now you've got cancer. So think about that instead of trying to find a job. It was
also
really
right around that time,
a grueling time.
Sucking like in the most profound fashion. So like everybody in New York was extra depressed.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad, but I'm okay now. My health is good, and I'm working. So I came through it. I learned a lot, probably a lot that I could have just as happily not learned first person. But look, the high hard one is coming at your head. You can hit the deck, or you can think that it's not going to come for you. But it's just the way the whole thing went down.
Left field. That's what you do,
right? Yeah. Ray, in journalism, and obviously, like we've watched a shift in that business, in your business. Is there anything you saw 10 years ago, 15 years ago that like kind of predicted where we're going, where it feels like the institution has been hollowed out? And I think it was John in one of the episodes. He worked, was it the San Francisco Chronicle?
Yes.
And he ended up going from that and being a strip club manager, and just check out the episode. Because
why not?
I'm not against that either, but it was just really crazy.
That's occurred to me a couple of times. It's like, I'm failing at this strip club. I'm going to go write for the San Francisco Chronicle.
Right, the reverse of that is right. Yeah, but I guess, was there anything you saw just like, again, a decade ago, I guess, that almost either foreshadowed or you could kind of see around corners that we were heading to this place?
Sure. The rise of the internet, which had a tremendous amount of appeal and was certainly going to shake up the business, but there was no clear way to make money on it yet. So while the business itself knew that you had to be multimedia, you had to be multi-platform, you had to get on the web, they also didn't know how they were going to do that without cannibalizing their own business. They haven't figured it out.
No.
I watched a great American newspaper, the Chicago Tribune, gradually become a pale shadow of its former self. I watched as institutions wrestled with how to monetize the web, pour tremendous amounts of money into it. We used to joke that web executives take dollars and turn them into dimes, because that seemed to be what they were doing. Yeah. But everybody knew they had to be in that business. Well, what we were doing was hollowing out the audience, hollowing out the business model. And in one of the beautiful ironies of this whole thing, Craig Newmark, the founder and developer of Craigslist, is now a major philanthropist, giving money to a school that bears his name at the City University of New York to teach journalism, after Craigslist was one of the holes below the waterline in the sinking ship of the American newspaper industry. You couldn't make this stuff up.
It is really like, can I dovetail on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Because I wanted to ask about how that works. To like put too fine a point on it, I have a subscription to the Washington Post that I've had since I was like 16.
Same here.
That still delivers a paper newspaper to my house, which I don't read, but I read their digital content constantly.
Yeah.
It is cheaper for me to maintain the paper subscription than to get the digital one and get it for free, because then they can count me twice in this weird thing where they count digital readers and quote unquote delivery subscribers, so they can try to sell to the ads. That's how, like, even Bezos hasn't figured this out. If you look at what happened in New Jersey, the state Senate president of New Jersey lost his reelection race to a truck driver who spent a total of $200 on this race. His name is something Durr. And like, 2 weeks after the election, we finally find out that this guy's like publicly accessible Facebook and everything is just laden with this racist, vile, disgusting stuff. It's just miles long of this. His record is miles long. And I'm not saying that Republican voters would have voted for him anyway, but at least some of them might have stayed home and would have changed the race. And then we come to find out that the reason that nobody knew about any of that is that there's 17 reporters for the entire southern half of New Jersey, if you count all the newspapers together. And no wonder they didn't have the resources to pay attention to that. The hollowing out of journalism is causing critical failures in the rest of society. People, I don't know what they think reporters are supposed to do, but they're supposed to keep an eye on this stuff. And you've had a front seat like view to this as this is all disintegrating. What are we going to do, Ray? What are we going to do?
Well, for now, institutions have all made up their minds that somebody else is going to do it. So if you say to a media property owner, somebody ought to be at the county board, somebody ought to be at the county courthouse, they'll say, you're absolutely right. Those places ought to be covered. Somebody will do it. While they're shedding reporters and trying to figure out how to get out of the business of putting ink on dead trees and go totally digital. Seattle, a big friggin' city, Seattle.
Yeah.
Has hardly any newspapers. New Orleans, not quite as big as Seattle, but still the hub of an important metropolitan area. The Picayune is not on paper most of the time. We're just a hair's breadth away from having major American cities with no newspaper at all.
Is nonprofit, publicly funded journalism a possibility? Is that a solution?
It's part of the answer, but I have real problems with where the money comes from, who gives it, and why. As long as there are public-spirited men and women who are ready to sign absolutely arm's-length checks and say, just go be news people, okay, maybe. And, the rise of the ProPublicas and the Center for Public Integrity and these various outfits that are doing journalism on a not-for-profit model, terrific. The St. Petersburg Times is a not-for-profit organization. The Nation is a not-for-profit organization.
I think Newsweek maybe became nonprofit or something like that.
And okay, that's a model that'll keep them going for a while longer. But what we need and what we don't have is a serious pool of adults that's ready to pay for content. Everybody, the mistake they made was early on thinking that they had to entice people somehow and they had to give them free content. And everybody is now drunk on free content. And you're saying, what? You want me to pay for this now? When you hit a paywall, when you're cruising through social media and you see a story you want to read and you hit a paywall, do you pay? No. You just keep scrolling because
same story.
And the reporter has to get paid.
Subscription too.
The editor has to get paid. The photographer has to get paid. People have to get paid. If you want junk journalism, don't pay for it. And that's what you'll get.
Yeah, I think that point is just huge. My cousin one time, we was just talking about like throwing parties. He was like, I don't care if it's your first party, charge people $1 because you want people to feel comfortable in paying for a service that you're receiving. And I think you just hit it on the head right there. It's just, I also go back to someone like Jeff Bezos who buys the Post. Like, because
he seems to have done a pretty good job staying like arm's length.
Right. It just still feels weird. And I even go a step further because I think there's, for democracy to be upheld, we need the free press. Is there any time where, I don't know, and people might shoot this down, but almost the federal government has to fund money.
That's what I was saying, a publicly funded version. And
it's we're not telling. And I know
the Writers Project during the
Writers Project, and because I'm just wondering, because you need it to keep this idea.
We can't even agree on whether we should have education being a public service or why does the post office lose money? I'm because Because it's
not
a
there to make
service.
money.
It's not Nobody goes, why does the Pentagon lose money? Every
And
time they
for the record, they lose money every year, whether they're winning or not.
Airplanes, that's a $50 million airplane you just jumped out of because you were a little scared it was going to crash? Like, what are we talking about? The Pentagon? This is crazy. And look at what happens. This virulent racist slides through the election. And that's one example. There's hundreds of examples of like the lack of coverage basically being the cover for malfeasance in this country.
But we have an audience, a group of customers, a group of our people that we are serving as reporters who can feel most of the time that they can take us or leave us until they get bit in the ass. And then they say, how come nobody told me about this? Yeah. Well, we told you, and we told you, and we told you. If you're surprised, it's not on us. It's on you.
Yeah.
There it is.
I'm a sustaining member, like 8 stations. I don't know how much more I can do about this, but like everybody listening, you need to like buy subscriptions to papers that you don't read because you just need them printing. Just keep them printing.
We got to keep them printed. And
I wouldn't quite go that far. Buy subscriptions to things that you do read, and then they'll still be there for you to read. That's how I would flex on that one.
I bought a bunch of T-shirts from ProPublica. I feel like I did my part. Like I'm that's my birthday. What the thing on Facebook every year is like you can do a donation for your birthday. It's ProPublica every year because that's the thing. It's like otherwise we're sunk. What's the Outlets show? The Reveal?
Reveal, yeah.
Oh, my God, what a great show that is.
It is a terrific piece of work. Absolutely.
That's fantastic radio.
Because after an hour, you're sitting back and like, I'm so glad folks are doing this.
I'm also feeling depressed and like, I definitely fucked up. I should have found out about California prison firefighters a long time ago.
But again, the reason that's there and the reason they do investigative reporting is to, right?
Man. I mean, if you want to see the impact of having an ill-informed citizenry, look at the conversation around vaccines in this country in the year since they were developed. About 13 months since they were developed. It has been so ill-informed and so frighteningly, at times, jaw-droppingly stupid that you just think, no, this isn't a question of us not agreeing with each other. It's not that I don't agree with you. It's just you're not willing to listen because it's actually my job to find stuff out. I do this every day of my working life. Find stuff out and explain it to you. So you, who just spent 15 minutes Googling something, now say, oh, I don't need you anymore because I just spent 15 minutes Googling this. I once had a guy call me up at the end of a day where I was anchoring the coverage of a Supreme Court confirmation hearing. And he said, I got to tell you, I think your coverage was very unfair. And I said, well, because at the end of the day, I did a 6.5, 7 minute, which is long in television, 6.5, 7 minute excerpt of the day's hearings. And he called to object to that because he said that I was being biased. And I said, look, I've done several confirmation hearings before, and I actually had a legal expert at my elbow through the day. And as we scoped out the day, like these were the high points. And he says, well, I watched the whole hearing on C-SPAN, and that's not what I felt was the most important part. I said, look, I'm your proxy, pal. Right. Who can sit and watch 6 hours of hearings? I get paid to do it. You sat and watched the 6 hours of hearings instead of watching the 7 minutes of my report. I could have saved you 5 hours and 53 minutes. He just sort of missed the whole idea of what a reporter is for. He is your proxy to go out into the world and see things and hear things.
It's so nuts the way people talk about news coverage as being biased when like mostly it's this is going to sound ridiculous. There was this Futurama episode where these like brain-sucking aliens came and made everybody stupid. Okay? And while that was happening, they flipped over to the 6 o'clock news. And this is how the news anchor led off the news. And this is probably the best encapsulation of reporting I've ever heard in my life. She goes, some stuff happened today. Want to hear about it? And that's exactly what reporting is.
It is, yeah. And I mean, isn't this just across the board, right? People are anti-experts, right? They don't like, I understand that I don't know a lot about a lot of things.
People argue about box scores.
No, they don't.
They're like, that guy didn't throw that many pitches. Like, well, yeah, he
Yeah, right.
counted it. No, you're a biased reporter. He definitely threw only 53 pitches, not 72. Like, what are we talking about here? It's the same level of objectivity. This happened. I told you about it.
Right. But now, since everything's been politicized, it's a very tough thing to talk to an audience now, because a large portion, a distressing portion of the population is convinced that you're making stuff up.
Yeah.
I've had people at public addresses, when I give lectures, public lectures, people tell me that they know that reporters make things up. Jeez. And I said to one lady who told me that, I said, look, I flew 100,000 air miles last year. You know how much easier it would have been for me to just stay in my office and make things up? I have a good imagination. I might write some interesting stuff. It would be a lot less wear and tear on this old bod and not all that crap airline food if I just stayed home. Much easier.
I want to ask some questions about the podcast, which is Going for Broke.
Yeah,
it's available wherever you consume your podcast. Did you see any central themes across all the episodes?
One is that our safety net, and we do have a safety net in America of a sort, it's just got too wide a mesh and there's too many holes in it. People internalize that idea that you've got to take care of yourself and not ask for help and struggle and work yourself out of your predicament and all that. These are good people, hardworking people who first did what they were told all their lives and kept their nose to the grindstone until they realized it doesn't matter. I can keep struggling, and it's like quicksand in Lawrence of Arabia. I'm just going to get sucked under. These a woman who was teaching English at a community college and ends up working behind a cash register in a grocery store, a woman who ends up being the social worker for her estranged father after her immigrant father is furloughed from his job for COVID. And in the midst of their difficulties and their tough history, she has to kind of overcome that and go to work as her own father's case manager, unpaid. A woman who had been a writer for the Miami Herald, and after a series of personal setbacks, ends up homeless in the streets of Miami. Tremendous stories that illuminate parts of American life that, thank your lucky stars, most of you will not experience. John Koopman was there in Firdos Square when the Marine Expeditionary Force helped pull down the statue of Saddam Hussein after the invasion of Iraq. And he ends up managing a titty bar and driving Uber because of the contraction of the American newspaper industry. In his case, it was the newspaper industry, but it could have been any industry.
It could be. And at the same time, there's other industries that are like desperate for people, but we don't have an economy that can shift that quickly.
Right.
And frankly, the older you get, the harder it is to shift that quickly.
Yeah. That's the thing that was very evident in your episode and actually in your interview that you did on the Takeaway. That was really, that stuck to me. I don't think I'll ever unhear that. Like that absolutely stuck to me because it was a little bit more personal than when you did the produced version on your show. Like, you're not that old. What are we talking about here? And also, you do a job that mostly has to do with like your ability to synthesize information and write it down. There's no reason that your age should factor into it. Like I do physical labor. Like if I can't lift things, I'm out of a job. But like that shouldn't carry. That shouldn't carry. And we should be able to look after our older folks in this country, should we not? I mean, they won all the wars and did all the good stuff. And now we're like, you're old, you get out of here.
Well, not only that, remember what we're telling older American workers now. Don't retire. Whatever you do, don't retire too early. Don't take your Social Security check early because you don't know how long you're going to live. And we're all living longer. And oh my God, did you prepare for retirement? And older workers who say, look, I still want to work. I still got it. I'm still interested. I still want to get up in the morning and go to work. They're being put out to pasture. American men, more than women. Women have their own set of troubles, and it's a little different. But American men start to rifle through jobs in the last years of their working lives. Each new job they have for a shorter length of time. The space between that one and the next one is longer, and the pay is lower when they finally get to working again. We're bidding down experience. We're telling people with 35, 40 years in the workplace, your experience actually means less to us and is worth less to us than it was before. It's a terrible thing that we're doing to do this bait and switch where we say, oh no, you can't retire, better not retire. And then we make it really hard for you to keep on working.
And then if we have a group of people that way, that's just going to build a resentment. And then that's like, right. And
that's how we end up with Trump.
Right. Folks' identity, like not everybody, but like their job sometimes can be their identity. And if they don't have that any longer, like you wonder where folks will start to drift off to. And there needs to be something.
I mean, in my world, the guys I know work until they retire. And then a lot of times when they retire, they die within a couple of years because they don't have this purpose.
Right.
What we do, I do, mechanical stuff. Like we feel like we're critical. And then the second we don't feel critical, we're like, what's the point?
Look, for better or worse, Americans build a part of their identity around the work they do, their validity as contributing members of a community, their self-image, whether or not they can provide for the people in their lives that they're responsible for. These are big, heavy things. And when you take that away, you take away more than just a paycheck. I try to explain it to Melissa Harris Perry. I had this closet full of Anchorman suits, and I got invited to a book party, a book launch. And I went downtown in my swell suit, and I got to the front door, and I looked around the room, and there were a lot of people I knew from Washington journalism in that room. And I realized I'm the only guy without a job in this room. And it hit me like a mallet. Did I really want to go in there and meet old friends and shake their hands and have them say, well, what are you up to now? And what are you doing now? And have my answer be nothing? It was one of those terrible moments of self-recognition where the thing that you anchored yourself to, the thing that gave you support and sustenance, but also stature and a sense of self, that was no longer there anymore. And you were adrift. And now you were going to walk into a room that used to be full of your peers and say, well, actually, I can't find any work, or I'm not doing anything, or I'm looking for the next thing. It's valuable to network, and it would be valuable for everybody in that room to know that I'm looking for something, but it's also kind of a come down after all this time to say, I just can't find anything to do. It's a tough thing.
So we will extend right now to you, Ray Suarez, greatest journalist to ever grace our show, at least tonight, that you will always have a platform here on Chip Chat, and you can come on our show. We can't pay you, but right. You can come on the show and beg people for jobs if you need to. Like we have reach. We have dozens of listeners. I'm sure somebody will hire you. Like,
I mean this sincerely. You couldn't put a value on what you guys do.
Well, no, you can't. It's You have one more serious question?
I know, right? I keep going with these serious questions.
Go ahead. You have another serious one.
They touched a lot on the unhoused. I believe it was in the first episode. of the podcast. And just being in DC, that's something I think that I see a lot, and I see it juxtaposed around a lot of wealth inside the city. Do you think the pandemic did anything to bring forth more empathy for just general folks? Like,
Muriel got beat on that actually this week too, didn't she?
oh yeah, she said she was running on.
They voted her down.
That's a great question. It's a crucial question, because it feels like, and the dust hasn't settled yet, so it's hard to say for sure, but it feels like that empathy was temporary, episodic, fleeting. That once life gets back to normal for most of us, we will stop feeling that pain of others who are suffering in the society. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it doesn't turn out. I hope we've created a window, created a moment where we can think, well, wow, that person's risking their health coming into work to get me food. Oh, this person is risking their health traveling on the subway to take care of my elderly mother. Oh, this person who I'm thinking, is it really worth it to pay them $14, $15 an hour? Oh, but if I do the math, that's really not that much money. Maybe they ought to make some more money. I hope that is not just a momentary thing that we flashed on while we were all suffering through the worst effects of the disease, but something that sustains and gives workers a chance to have a little bit more, a few more chips on their side of the table as the great big societal confrontation continues.
I don't want to rain on your parade, but as somebody who is on that, I mean, I'll try to explain this. I do maintenance, so like if you live in an apartment and your stuff breaks, I'm the guy that shows up. You go, hey, my, faucet is not working. I'm the guy that shows up. And like during the very early parts of the pandemic, we were just as afraid to go into everybody's house as they were to have us in their house.
Right.
And it was a very obvious, very tense kind of thing, but they were like pretty grateful that we were like, we're glad that you're here. And, we understand that it's tough or whatever. And we were asking them for, deference and forgiveness. So like, do you mind going to the other room while we do the work or whatever? We are back to the point of like, these guys don't do shit, whatever, these fucking maintenance guys. Like, we're getting stuff thrown at us again. Like, you don't even care. We're here to fix your stuff that you broke because you're wantonly destructive. And then you're yelling at us like we're the bad guys. Ray, the window closed.
Yeah, and I think the quote that it was Ann Larson in the episode where she said, "I work in the grocery store, you just shopping it."
Yeah.
And I just that
hit me so hard because that's literally my life.
And I was like, shit.
At the best of times, those workers are invisible to a lot of us.
Right.
During pandemic time, it was like, well, yeah, of course they've got to stock the shelves. Of course they've got to bag my stuff. Of course they've got to bring it out to the curb. I am the customer. I don't want to get sick, but they were getting sick and they were dying. Those guys working in the chicken plants and the pork plants, dying. And that mayor in South Dakota, where there was a meat plant where the workers were dying in bunches, and the mayor says, "Oh, well, regular people aren't dying."
Right.
What?
What is
just saying the quiet part out loud, man?
Bet he had an R next to his name. Just guessing. I know the governor does. She was like, "Yo, come on, Sturgis, let's get some more."
Yeah, that stuff was just weird. When they were talking about her during the first presidential boomlet for Kristi Noem, South Dakota had the highest infection rate in the country.
They did.
I thought, well, if anything qualifies you to become president, it's certainly managing this thing so that you've got the highest infection rate in the country. Because where else are they talking about? Oh, yeah, Ron DeSantis. 64,000 people dead in Florida from COVID, 700,000 sick. Hey, no problem.
I know you covered the White
presidential
House.
Timber, apparently.
I know you covered the White House and you know a lot about this stuff, but I want to tell you a secret. Half this country definitely likes that. Like, that's a thing. If you can infect people, you can win a Republican primary in this country. The more people you can get infected, the more likely you are to win that primary.
if you infect the right people.
The right people. Right. Yeah. As soon as they found out it was black and brown people that were getting killed by this thing at an ungodly rate, they were like, yep, open everything back up.
Yeah.
We don't need masks. Get them all back out there. I need my groceries.
I was waiting on a street corner in Atlanta, and I was staying in a hotel that required you to wear a mask. And I walked out the front door of the hotel with my mask still on and was standing on the corner waiting for the light to change. And some guy came careening around the corner in his F-150 at 100 miles an hour and leaned over and shouted, "Take that damn mask off."
Hey, book that time.
Yeah. Make sure you record it.
Hey,
okay.
Yo.
All right. So on that note, Ray, this is nominally a comedy show, so we want to ask you a couple of things. One, you may be one of the most authoritative voices on the radio. We want to give you the opportunity here to say something on the air that you've always wanted to say, but that you never felt that you could say live on radio.
Didn't he just say it?
No, that was something. That was a quote. That was a quote.
I was quoting someone else. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So is there something you want to say? I want everybody to know that Chip Chat is where NPR comes to cuss. This is what happens. So if you want
actually, I'm naked from the waist down.
There you go. Book that one. Okay.
Right.
Now, we asked this of most of our guests. Would you or would you not eat Mitch McConnell?
In a sexual sense or in a carnivorous sense?
I think we meant
zombie
literally.
apocalypse.
Yeah.
Maybe is he
zombie apocalypse?
Is he too tough?
If you're hungry and Mitch is the only thing standing between you and starvation, well, yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
He would eat Mitch McConnell. There you go.
Mitch McConnell. I mean, if there's corn or greens or something else to eat, I'd prefer that. But guys got to live.
That seems fair.
I'll throw another. We'll go more. Ray, I'm not heavy into horoscopes at all, but you're a fellow Pisces like myself, as I'm doing my research. Do people ever if it ever comes up, do people ever say oh, you're a Pisces, and they're just like, oh, you're a Pisces? Do you ever get that?
I have. And the thing is, when you're in public media, you have to be nice to people. It's part of the job description. So I can't say, oh, come on. That's like the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So I don't.
My birthday was last Saturday. What does that make me?
So happy belated birthday.
Oh, a year older.
I hate it. I'm so
a year older.
Yeah. Quiet, all you. What is it? That's the thing, right?
What?
What's the guy with the horse? He's half a horse.
The Minotaur?
No, the sign.
Sagittarius.
Oh, Sagittarius.
That
so,
guy.
you're there. I told you.
I don't know what that means, but that's the thing I
Look,
am.
I may realize it's bogus, but I keep track of these things.
Exactly.
I love the way he says it. I love it. Ray, can we get a drop from you just saying you're listening to Chip Chat on Rip Radio Network? That would be the best thing we've ever heard.
You're listening to Chip Chat on Rip Radio Network.
That's amazing.
Can I ask for one as well? Could you say sweeps?
Can I say what?
Sweeps. He wants you to say the word sweeps.
Sweep.
Hey, thank you, Ray.
It's the best. This is the best interview we've ever had.
This is the season finale.
We've had so many people on this show, and none of them are Ray Suarez. That's very true. All right, Ray, we know it's a school night, and you got stuff to do, like, all of your other jobs. Before we let you go, can you tell everybody?
Well, you remarked that I was all dressed up.
Yeah.
Right before I got on with you guys, I did something for the early morning broadcasts in European television. So it wasn't for you guys that I got dressed up.
I didn't believe so.
Which continent was it for? Because I know England's not in Europe anymore. You guys left.
No, it was for Euronews, the CNN good. Of the European continent.
Yeah, that's very good. That's the real ones then.
Look,
they don't have pink money.
Again, I am an American citizen now.
I know you are,
right?
just barely, just in time.
And I did it a week after January 6th. You guys should be lucky I decided to go through with this shit.
Yeah, right. He could have left. Shit. All right, so Ray,
where were you a citizen of before?
I know. I always get this one too. My elementary school, when I did it for show and tell, told me I was a liar.
I'm British.
I'm British. I was born in London.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. I used to work in London. Great
Hey,
place.
I know, and Jamaican, the whole
Every
colonies
4th
and
of
whatnot.
July, I call them and tell them
The Windrush generation.
Well, there you go, exactly. And my grandmother.
That's right. All right, so Ray, tell everybody where to get all of your shows, and if you can list them in alphabetical order by syllable as the streets are in the district.
I would hope that you all listen to Going for Broke, which is a presentation of the Economic Hardship Reporting Project and The Nation magazine. And you can find that launching either from the EHRP website, economichardship.org, from The Nation's own webpage, their podcast section, when you go to thenation.org, or wherever you get your podcasts. Just look for Going for Broke with Ray Suarez. Also, World Affairs, which is produced by the World Affairs Council of San Francisco. You go to either KQED FM to listen to the radio show or the podcast, or again, just one word, World Affairs, wherever you got your podcasts.
And you got
and when you go to Europe, watch me on Euronews.
Yeah. Don't you have the other one that you sent me to from Palabras?
I write for Palabras, which is the online publication of the National Association of Hispanic Journalists, and I write for the editorial board and Alternet from time to time. So
there you go. See, guy's got a million jobs.
I can barely write for this show.
Yeah, I can barely write this show. And I just copy and paste articles.
I was gonna say.
It's like you see, I'm holding this paper. I didn't write any of this except for like those stupid
jokes
about casting tiny handcuffs out of Robert E. Lee bronze.
Like, and if you're interested, I've got 3 books in print.
Yes,
and another one coming out in 2023 on immigration, which I urge you to read. It'll make a wonderful christening or bar mitzvah present.
There you go.
I do all the reading here.
Yeah, he's the reader. Yeah. I don't know how to read, actually. I'm illiterate. I'm just holding.
Buy the book on tape, then.
Yes, thank you.
Wait, I have one question. Is that reading? Is that considered reading? Did you read the book?
An audio book?
Yeah.
If you've got the excuse that you're behind the wheel, it's allowed. Otherwise, it's really slack.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Hey, I love it.
Man.
There we are.
Yo, striking a blow for literacy on Chip Chat. I never would have guessed. This show proudly stands against literacy.
But if you buy the audiobook instead of just borrowing it from your library, I'll let it slide. Because then at least I get the royalty.
Hey,
go buy his books at Politics and Prose or something like that. Don't get it from Bezos.
No, I do not. I'm not gonna get into that. My mom had it. She's like, I don't really order that much stuff from Amazon. I was like, she's like, how much did you order last year? I was like, 6 things. She's like, that's not possible. Yeah, I know.
No, I have kids. I need subscription to the diaper subscription. Oh my God, it saves my life.
Let me not get on my high horse.
Well, yeah,
God, go order your stuff.
This guy rides his bike everywhere and like the bus and stuff. He's a much better person than me, and he shames me for it relentlessly.
Yeah, and I hate the NFL now.
Yeah, that's right. Can't even let me enjoy football. We win 4 games in a row, and you're shaming me for it. I learned to stop saying the name and everything, so I got to get something for it.
We've been promoting a racist name on here for a long time. I don't say that type of thing.
All right, yeah, of course. All right. Ray, tell everybody your podcast one more time, and they can follow you on Twitter and stuff. They want to follow you on Twitter, right?
No, we found follow me on Twitter. They can follow me on Facebook. They can even follow me on LinkedIn if they want to give me a job. Listen to Going for Broke from The Nation and the Economic Hardship Reporting Project, and listen to World Affairs from the World Affairs Council of San Francisco and KQED FM.
Dynamite stuff.
I can't wait to tell my mom I spoke to Ray Suarez.
I cannot wait to tell my mom about this either. Right? She doesn't listen to the show, so it's going to be fine. Yeah, that's right. All right, we're going to take a break, Ray. Thank you so much for being here. This is the best. No, we got stuff to do. We got bad jokes to tell. Cleanse our palate of all this serious, good, hard-thinking journalism stuff.
I had like 40 more questions.
Yeah, I know. All right, Ray. Thank you so much for being here. You're so amazing. We cannot wait to have you back. We'll call you, get you back on the show.
Please,
the next time you feel like lowering yourself to our standards.
Next December.
Good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
All right, we're going to take a break. You're listening to Chip Chat on Ripped Radio Network.
Sweeps.
the perfect patient. Sick inside and out. Rare symmetry, truly wasted. A weak appetite stuck in your mouth. Potato, they don't know who you are. A stranger's glove, you walk by as if their blood needs to see you as much as I do. You're the perfect patient, sick inside and out. I know how you long to exist, invisibly, or at least mirrorless. Potato, I honestly don't know where you are.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Rip Radio Network. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What?
We just got off the line with Ray Suarez. That was one of the best interviews we've ever done on this show.
And only like 5 of you heard it.
We're
Live.
punching way above our
Yeah,
weight on this
exactly.
one. I can't believe we landed that. Ray was so amazing and so much fun. He's really good at radio. He should try it. Yeah.
He should be sitting right here, and I should not be. I should be watching.
Be fired. It'd be Ray Chip Chat hosted by Ray Suarez. That's fine. I'll give it up. All right.
We'd still bring you on as a guest.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Quick segment that we like to do is the coup updates. But before we get to the coup updates,
Yes.
I want to point out this thing that I may or may not have done. Back on May 13th, before you and I had ever met,
Yeah.
but we were doing the show together, we talked to Congressman Joe Walsh of Illinois,
We did.
former congressman.
Congressman.
And on that broadcast, at about minute 52,
Oh, you digged.
I finally found it.
Okay.
I posited this like cockamamie idea that the Republicans might win the House in the next election, in the 2022 election, and that rather than make dumb Kevin speaker, they might make Trump speaker. And I went further to say that I thought maybe the Proud Boys would, try to kill Joey B. and Kamala and make Trump president thusly. And and Brian's got the video of me saying this. So you want to cue it up? Go ahead and hit the button there,
Wow,
Brian.
we don't do this often. We don't
No.
go into the archives.
I think the Republicans are going to take back control of the House probably next year.
Yeah, and I think you want to know what I think is going to happen.
Then you're going where I'm going in 24.
Well, no, that's not what I was going to say.
Okay, where I'm going is then I worry about a Democrat winning the presidency in 2024 and the Republican House refusing to certify the election.
Oh, yes. I think that might happen. I think before that happens, dumb Kevin will work his ass off to try to recover the House for the Republicans by sucking up to Trump. And then he's going to come in with this wave of ultra Trumpistas. And many people don't know this. You don't have to be a member of Congress to be Speaker of the House. and Trump will tell them to make him the speaker, and dumb Kevin will lose his chance at his dream job, which would be funny, but also the end of the world.
Okay. The next thing the congressman says is that I'm smoking something.
He does. I was so over this place at that time. You could just see. I was looking at that. I was like, I'm done with all this.
Okay, but if you've been following the news this week, all of the hubbub is that this is exactly the conversation. Now, we reported this a couple of weeks ago that Meadows had floated this idea when he was talking about his book, and CNN and Maggie Haberman had covered this idea that maybe that's the thing that's going to happen, is that they're going to make Trump speaker. Now, nobody in the mainstream media is talking about this, the second part of that, which is that the QAnons would try to assassinate the 1 and 2 in the line of succession, thus making him president. But they're talking about him being speaker. Now, what Congressman Walsh said is that Trump doesn't want to be speaker. That's irrelevant. He didn't want to be president either, but he was. And if he was speaker, he would do as much damage as he did as president by doing fuck all as speaker. This is a very real possibility. And I want to apologize to everybody live on the air about this, because in my conspiratorial fever dreams of like, oh my God, this shit is out of whack, I may have inadvertently kicked this idea into the universe, and then like it's coming back to us via, Matt Gaetz and MTG. Yeah, thank you.
I'm so with Walsh to the point where his ego doesn't allow him. Right now, they're talking about you can't even get regular conversations with the guy because he's just so caught up on how he won 2020.
Yes.
And
But that's not relevant. He doesn't even have to participate to become speaker.
So he's right, just a ghost.
They're just gonna vote him in, and they're gonna be like, "You're the speaker." And then, like, there was even this conversation. I forget who it was. Maybe it was Meadows that was saying, like, yeah, it was Meadows. How funny it would be to watch Pelosi have to hand the gavel to Trump after she was so mad about. That's a great picture of Mark Meadows. After she was so mad at his speech that she tore it up, he's like, can you imagine if she had to hand the gavel to him? I watched her hand the gavel to John Boehner. I thought she was going to slug him. Boehner was crying, by the way.
He was, yeah.
You want to know how serious that was? I have a Peeps diorama that I built back when the Washington Post had the Peeps diorama contest. And this was back in, 2012 or 2010. None of the Peeps have faded in color. I had blue Peeps and pink Peeps, pink being the Republicans, right, blue being the Democrats, and then an orange Peep being John Boehner because it's the same color as him. And Peeper Pelosi is handing Peeper Boehner the gavel, and Peeper Boehner is crying. Aww. And I have this to this day, and it has not faded one iota.
Don't you miss the good old country club Republicans?
Remember when John Boehner was our biggest threat, and like he was like, I just want to smoke and drink wine. Like that's what he sounds like.
He loves him. He loves wine. He loves wine. All right. Speaking of Pelosi, Pelosi by Molly Ball. Great book.
Okay. So it's good to read things. So sorry about the idea of Speaker Trump. That may be my fault. The National Guard in D.C. did not respond to the coup. As it turns out.
They never will.
Because actually this week they voted that down to not giving Muriel control of the guard. But like we talked about this, we thought maybe it was Flynn's brother that slowed up the guard. Right. The IG report came out and said, no, that wasn't it. They were all concerned about optics, and they had all these things from the Pentagon. Well, Colonel Earl Matthews, who was the National Guard on the National Security Council and in the Pentagon at the time, was like, that report's a fucking lie. And as you may notice from the photo here, if you're looking on the video, I think he knows more than those guys for an obvious reason.
Yeah, because black people are
sounds about white.
Go ahead and try to save democracy.
Sounds about white. All right. Meadows wrote this book about Trump, where he told everybody that he was COVID positive and infected everybody and maybe almost killed Chris Christie and stuff.
Wait, that is who wrote? That's where these quotes. I didn't.
Yes.
I needed. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm just getting back into this. That is where those quotes came from
So
a book
Mark
he
Meadows wrote this book called Chief of Chiefs.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
Woo, I can't get all the news.
And
Sometimes I got to get it from here.
Trump blurbed it and sent out a press release saying what a great book it was.
Wait, from the desk, the
from the
Resolute
Save
desk,
America, whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. Saying what a great book it is and everybody should get it. And that he read it and loved it. But he obviously didn't read it because obviously
come on.
But he reads even less than me. But but not only did he not read it, because obviously he didn't, because in this book, Meadows definitely calls him patient zero and says that he got everybody infected and that he met with all these Gold Star families like while he was infected and at the debates while he was infected and like all of this stuff. And so then Dear Leader finds out about that and he goes, oh, that's fake news. It's bullshit. And so Meadows has to backtrack. And he's like, yeah, he goes on Newsmax to denigrate his own book. And he's like, yeah, everything in the book's bullshit. And they're like, wait, didn't you write it? And he goes, no, fuck that. I didn't write that. It's all bullshit. Yeah. No, he said it was a lie. And so then to try to like get back in Trump's good graces after cooperating with the January 6th commission for a little while, he decided he's going to not do that.
Did he cooperate? I said that from the beginning.
He turned over 6,000 documents and including a lot of phone records, which may or may not actually tie him to talking to the Proud Boys at the moment of the insurrection.
We'll see.
But the key thing here is that he's like, nah, I'm not going to answer their subpoena. You can hold me in contempt, executive privilege. And they're like, executive privilege? You wrote a book about the motherfucker. What's the executive privilege there? So executive privilege after you wrote a book that you intend to sell, making money off of your private conversations with him?
I was going to say something, but it's crazy, but I'm just going to say it anyways. I was like, executive privilege is like white privilege, but just for like the presidents.
Yes. Except that it's specifically like defined and Joe Biden waived it.
Yeah.
Because it belongs to the current president.
Exactly.
Which the QAnon people at one point are sure that Trump is still president, but also that they need to stop the steal. So you figure that one out.
Me and my girlfriend and I, because I always like
my wife has a hard time with this.
I love to turn on.
How do they believe these two things at once?
I love to turn on Fox News, and I also like to go to like MSNBC.
Did you see the burning Christmas tree?
I didn't. When I went on there, it was a bunch of folks screaming about, I guess, JFK and JFK.
Oh, good.
Coming back. That's what I took in. Yeah, they were very convinced on there. But I do find it's interesting, the layout, because I went from Hannity to Maddow.
Oh, that's gotta hurt. Talk about whiplash.
And it's
dangerous immigrants are trying to come and steal your Christmas, blah, blah, blah.
Then she's just,
the real problem is that we don't have real reporting on the ground, and we have no idea what's going on.
She was giving us
that's the thing.
She was giving us a bridge version of the Atlantic's reporting on. She's doing that. But it was interesting, just like it's just how those shows are produced, and obviously I lean more. Obviously not the Henry.
Yeah.
But obviously there's a place, obviously I'm a little biased on this, but I just was trying to sit back and I was looking at it and I was like, God, they touch on they're touching the same, not the same points because it's different, but the same pressure points, I think, on both sides.
The tone matters a lot.
The tone does.
Because Maddow talks in like really measured, easy tones, and Hannity is in like hyperbole.
Maddow was scaring me.
Yeah, because the low tone scares you a little bit.
I was going to say the way you do that, I was like, oh my God.
All right, you want to watch a little Fox News? Here's something going on with their Christmas tree. Now, I want to point out before we get into this that the tree at Fox's studios in New York is not. It's actually metal. It's just a big metal cone with lights on it. It is not a tree. The tree at Rockefeller Center in front of NBC.
We watched that come in.
Tree
Al Roker and them was outside all the time.
It's from Maryland.
Yeah, right.
It's one of our trees.
Came in on the truck. I used to always see it.
All right. So here is the tree at Fox News on fire because it was burned down. Brian, hit the clip.
He was subdued, and then they find out he's under arrest right now. Massive investigations through the night. It took place
massive investigations
last night.
They literally caught the guy red-handed. It wasn't a massive investigation.
So sad. We have security tape around the tree right now when you walk in. No more music, no more tree.
I think it's
infuriating.
I think it tells the bigger story. I mean,
It's the war on Christmas.
This city is so out of control,
So out of
especially
control.
in Midtown Manhattan.
Is it though?
Used to love.
Right, but yesterday we're covering stories about.
See if you can find the bit where Ainsley describes how they're going to fix the tree.
This is a tourist attraction from around the globe. And they sit there and they have this one.
Yes, the tourists come around the world to see the Fox News Christmas tree. Not the one at Rockefeller Center.
Other structures around it, but our whole lobby was full of smoke, evidently.
But think about and being able to worship the way that you want to worship.
Oh,
it
God.
makes me so mad.
Does it, Ainsley? You look so mad.
And we've been talking for a very long time. This city has gone south when it comes to safety.
Let's see if we can find the bit where she says how they're going to build it back.
Feel safe when we go home at night. It's just one of those things. And when you
there you
Build
go.
it back bigger and better.
And we put it back. I mean, I
I
hope we put it back.
hope we build it back bigger and better.
And we got to do a sequel to the Christmas tree lighting. And I just think that this
Let's
is.
do another lighting.
And
I agree.
the early indications are the guy's a psycho, and once
He's gonna build it back better.
Get
Maybe
arrested.
homeless.
How soon to tell?
Maybe homeless. Yep.
I mean,
Gonna build it back better. Where have I heard that before?
To fund the police. Then.
All right. Talk about manufactured outrage.
Yeah, right. I think it's help. Oh Lord, I'm not even talking to the mic because I'm just gonna. I do think it's helpful sometimes to go and watch these shows, but what I realize is again, there's no discernment. Like someone watches that and they feel there's a feeling inside of crime is through the roof and they're burning our tree down. There's a war on Christmas, damn it.
Like this one crazy guy is somehow the problem that is indicative of the whole city. Like one guy.
It's like the Joker in
There's like 12 million people in city of New York. There's one guy. He's not the Joker.
He's not.
Speaking of
It's the penguin, exactly. There you
speaking
go.
of small problems that could become big ones, this is your Tez Talk, but I hijacked it this week.
Yeah, you did hijack it, yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, go for it. Yeah.
This is something I feel like I'm qualified to help.
Go with some hogs.
Yeah. Who Michigan's gonna beat, by the way.
Wait, so you
That's
don't?
Dogs, never mind. Same,
I was gonna
same
say,
difference.
I was like,
Whatever.
hold
It's
on.
one of those SEC teams.
I thought you loved skins.
Yeah, the pigskins.
Yeah.
That's my idea.
Okay.
Okay. So cast your mind, if you will, to the coastal South, right? That's Georgia, the Carolinas. There's the barrier islands and all this stuff. These places are protected by basically grass. That's the only thing standing between these islands and the coasts of the Carolinas and Georgia and certain doom. It's grass. And the grass needs muscle. Specifically, these kind of striped mussels that live there in the salt flats.
Right.
Okay, so the mussels live in the salt marshes and the grass grows on the mussel colonies. So far, so good.
Because nature is just amazing.
Because it's amazing.
Right.
And that builds up these islands and protects, whatever's behind them and all that stuff. Well, mussels are under attack. Not from the war on Christmas this time, but from feral hogs. 30 to 50 feral hogs, by the way.
Goddamn
Which is why you need an AR-15 for the 30 to 50 feral hogs.
If that's what y'all using your guns for, I mean, look, by all means.
Okay, we'll get to that. So the hogs are like eating all the mussels, and apparently maybe they can crunch them up, maybe they can't. They're
digging them out the mud,
They're
right?
digging them out of the mud, and they're eating them and pooping them out, which is how the researchers were able to verify that this is what's happening.
And it must be good if you're eating the shell.
Yeah. All right, so this is critically dangerous because like the whole coastal South is in trouble if the hogs eat all of the mussels and that kills all the grass and then they get flooded. Right. So what are we to do about this, Tez?
I guess we got to make some bacon.
That's exactly what we need. We need a lot of hickory wood, some vinegar, some honey, little pepper flakes, and some coleslaw, and we're going to handle this the only way Americans know how, with barbecue.
Yeah, there it is.
The environmentalist barbecue movement started right here on Chip Chat.
Environmentalist barbecue movement.
We're gonna get
some letters for that one.
Yeah, we're gonna get some Gullah Geechee guys. They're real good at that stuff with the whole pig roast.
Yeah,
and they live on those coastal islands.
Clarence Thomas, hit us up.
Yeah, definitely. Clarence Thomas, call us. I don't know if he can still speak it. Do you think he can?
You know what? To be honest,
barely speaks English. Barely reads English. Anyway.
Yo, hey, he can't. He does. His reading of the Constitution is very interesting. I'll say that.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
The reason I mentioned the 30 to 50 feral hogs is that Jason Isbell, who's a musician, drive-by truckers and various other things, pretty good guitar player, pointed out back in 2019 in the gun debates with this tweet. If you're here arguing the definition of, quote, assault weapon today, you are part of the problem. You know what an assault weapon is, and you know you don't need one. And this guy named Willie McNabb tweeted out this question. Legit question for rural Americans. How do I kill the 30 to 50 feral hogs that run into my yard within 3 to 5 minutes while my small kids play?
Two Americas, man. Two Americas. I don't even know how to answer that.
Everybody jumped on him like, this is ridiculous. You don't have feral hogs or anything. And now it turns out, yeah, we do. There's like 6 million of them running around this country that cause $2.5 billion of damage a year. Like, there is a USDA program designed to manage feral hogs in the United States. This is a very serious problem. And the solution, of course, is obvious and smoking right in front of us. And it brings us all together. The gun nuts can shoot them, right? The local food types can enjoy, preparing and eating them. I'll help with that, right? The environmentalists will preserve the land and the mussels and all that kind of good stuff. The fiscal conservatives will eliminate a government program because we'll, have gotten rid of them. We don't need to do all like it brings everybody together except PETA, but nobody cares about them. Brings the other PETA people for eating tasty animals.
Mitch McConnell.
Like corn on the cob. Both of them would be in on it. 100%.
100%.
That crosses every line.
Look at this. We finally have united America.
As we bridge gaps and brothers, we slug back.
Hey, look at
the Jurassic 5 line.
I was to say it. I couldn't sniff that out. That is Jurassic.
That's right.
Woo!
Yeah,
look,
deep one.
Swine, man.
Delicious.
Delicious.
It's the only solution. Okay. Quick real victim. Television coverage of curling, which is a very important thing.
This is yours. This is I was gonna say this is you.
Curling is going on right now. U.S. qualified for the Olympics, both in men's and now in mixed doubles, and where the World Curling Federation is doing the play downs and all this. It's a big deal. One of the sponsors who got a spot on the ice, which means their logo is like emblazoned on the ice. There is Easy Toys. Now they sponsor a lot of women's sports. You want to take a guess what they make?
When you said Easy Toys, did you see my eyes?
You want to take a guess what they make? They make the stuff that those guys that Cam Soda made with the NBA.
Yeah, with the NBA. I was going to say, the show I didn't get the.
So they make the insertable toys.
Hey,
let's just say, the World Curling Federation is having trouble with this, and they're censoring some of the coverage. So, like, as The Rock crosses this logo, they're blinking away from it.
I think this is incredible. You would think the Curling Association will be okay with people's like toes curling.
Yeah, exactly. It's a sport about jostling stones and rubbing things really hard.
This dick! Oh my God, we went into that. It's that time of night.
I'm just saying.
After 11, this is what happens.
They got in trouble also with they sponsored a Dutch soccer team, and the Royal Dutch Football Association decided that they couldn't have the logo on the shirts. But then they reversed their decision because they're Dutch, and they're very sex positive there in the Netherlands. So good on them.
Everybody likes sex.
All right, and the last story in the real victim here, and I really don't know who the real victim of this is. The folks at Hidden Valley make the ranch dressing. They worked with some mixologists to create ranch eggnog. Yeah, it sounds awful. It might be awful. Some folks.
I'm glad you came around.
At the Today Show, they ran the recipe. They did the thing.
This is when I haven't watched the Today Show in a while.
RanchNog.
What?
RanchNog is what they call it. Do you drink eggnog like in general?
It's not my thing.
It's already not a thing, right? Like
It's
we don't need milk and booze.
Why?
That's not
Why?
Bad time. Bad time, especially later. Yeah.
I feel like I don't know the exact line, but like the late great Prodigy had, it's like mixing vodka and milk.
Yeah.
That was one of his lines.
No, we don't. No.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you drink the RanchNog?
No.
What if
I'd probably dip a chicken wing in it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I would probably dip a chicken wing in it.
Would you dip something in the RanchNog?
Probably more than drink.
What's the difference?
I don't know, because maybe I've drank the ranch or blue cheese when it's all the fucking
you do,
chicken
right?
Is
You know, you're
it's
done.
the
It's got
finale.
all
Yeah,
the
I did that shit.
chicken sauce in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, of
Fuck
course
that.
you do.
Of course I did.
Yeah. All right, we would drink it. We're gonna drink it. It's got mezcal in it and all kinds of stuff. I don't know. Like ginger syrup in there. The recipe sounds good.
Maybe out of that mug that I'm looking at.
There is this tiny bit of the actual ranch dressing stuff in there. Like the rest of it is all just things that kind of make sense.
What was the image was the seasoning? Is that what goes in it?
Yeah. There's like this, but there's like a quarter of a teaspoon of that stuff. The rest of it is just like, still milk-based booze drinks, not good.
No,
we don't do that. Okay. I think we've more or less covered it. Who's the real victim of that?
Blue cheese.
Yes. That's exactly right. That's where I was going to go with the people of Buffalo, New York. Because they figured out that you're supposed to dip wings in cheese, of course.
Yeah.
Try ordering ranch in Buffalo. See what happens.
The way after.
You think they throw people through flaming tables for fun?
No, that's what I'm saying. Because all I know of Buffalo, for the most part, is the flaming tables.
I've been there, and I've had wings there.
Also, like
they come with blue cheese.
Who's it? The Griselda Records folks, like West Side Gun and all those guys. Yeah, so like between both of those, I feel like Buffalo's a place that you just don't want to try for.
Labatt Blue and Zubaz. That's a combination you gotta see. I ate wings that were grilled on the hood of a Pinto. That's true. On a rake. Yeah. All that's true. And I drank out of a bowling ball. Buffalo's amazing.
That makes you stronger.
# our Bills. All right. You hear that music? We want to say thank you to Ray Suarez for dropping down to our level. We are truly honored. Yeah. That was unbelievable.
Again, if you have not
we're going to cut that interview out and play it as its own show.
Of course. If you haven't heard Ray's podcast, Going for Broke, wherever you get your podcast.
Yep.
Probably where you could find
Chip Chat.
But actually get that in the Rip Radio app.
Yeah. Thanks to our radio partners, while we're going to tell you not to go there. Stitcher, Google, Amazon, YouTube, Spreaker, all those guys, whatever. Thanks to NOTN for keeping us on for another week, we assume, although I haven't checked in a little while.
We're on twice a week.
Thanks to our digital media chalupa, Keywayne Baltimore. He's got new music out. You got to go check him out on IG. He's got new songs, a couple new songs, actually. They're both very good. Thanks to our home on the interwebs, coplaymedia.com. And thanks, as always, to our family here at Rip Radio, which will be with us at the Rippies December 18th that we are hosting.
We're not done yet for the year.
That's right. You can still come out and spend even more time with this nonsense.
Yeah.
I'm sure you all want to.
Ray Suarez will not be there.
No.
So
you're stuck with us.
Will not be as good.
No.
Which we would not
combined. We're like a third of a Ray Suarez.
You're being kind tonight.
Yeah, that's right.
Christ.
All right, so thanks as always to our family here at Rip Radio for making us sound as smooth as Devin Nunes' cow.
Moo.
All right, where can everybody get you on the social medias?
I don't even remember anymore, but you probably can find me at DC Cortez on Twitter, at Ketchum Cordy on Instagram, and don't go on Facebook.
Right, and you can
Meta.
Yeah, you can find the show on Facebook or Instagram at
go on Facebook for the show. Sorry,
and you can find me and the show on Twitter at ChipChatRR since my Chef Chip has been indefinitely suspended. Thank you, Ted Cruz. And you can find us every Thursday night except for the next 3 Thursday nights here on Rip Radio. Download the app.
We are back
January
6th.
Chip Chat on Rip Radio Network.